Welcome to Your Studio Podcast, the show for studio owners like you who want more profit, more freedom, and a business that actually supports your life. Hosted by Chantelle and Michelle Hunter, co-CEOs of Studio Evolution. We've helped thousands of studio owners in more than 34 countries grow, scale, and simplify. So whether you're stuck in survival mode or ready to level up, you're not alone, and you're in the right place. So pop the kettle on, hit follow, and let's dive in.
Hello, hello, hello. It's Chantelle here. Welcome to Your Studio Podcast. I got my work wifey here, Michelle Hunter. Hello, lovely.
Hi, friends. How are we? How are we going today?
Where are you listening to us? Are you on driving to the studio? Are you on a nice walk in nature?
Oh, that'd be nice.
Wouldn't it be nice having a little coffee? Oh, so good. Well, we are going to be sharing some real talk today. This episode is all around the topic of if only we knew, if only we knew, and what we might do differently had we known what we didn't know at the time. Right, Michelle?
Yep. We've all been there. It's like, what would I have done differently if I started again?
Yeah. And, you think back to our younger selves, our less wise selves, who didn't maybe value our well-being, maybe, or didn't.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm just like, yeah.
You got some lived experience?
How long have we been in this game
20s?
for? 20s? Oh, let's just block that kind of experience. We don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But
Oh my gosh. I mean, there are times I remember when, I was working so hard. I would get a sinus infection. I had to keep working. In my head I did anyway. And I remember holding an ice pack to my forehead and still just typing away, right? Just still doing the do. And I used to get so overworked from the 17-hour days that I was working that every kind of couple of months I would literally put myself to bed at dinner time and then sleep the whole next day and the whole next night and then be like, okay, good, I've caught up and I can run. That's insane. I was stress sick.
And the fact that you prepared yourself that if I just did that, I'd be okay when I woke up. You knew the amount of time that you needed to sleep.
It was a real strategy. I can just go and then after, 8 weeks or so, I'll just have a day. I'll just take a day. But I was running stupid fast, right?
But when you're in the moment, you just keep going, right? You just keep going. I remember back in the early days when we were launching and when we would, launch an intake period and then we'd close cart and normally we'd close cart at midnight because that's a good time for Australia and obviously midnight and then also for Northern Hemisphere, and I would stay up till midnight with little kids at home to close cart. Why? So I could check the emails and just make sure, do all the redirects when you can do all that automatically. And I would do that launch after launch for years.
Because you just wanted to know it was done right?
Yeah, I just wanted to know it was done right. I just wanted that satisfaction of clicking over, just knowing that it was redirected, making sure any other people in the inbox, it was just tidied up.
Yeah. I mean, it's no real surprise, friends, why she's now graduated to become a co-owner, right? Her devotion and investment, it speaks for itself. But not ideal in terms of life,
self-care,
health.
Yeah, making sure that I'm okay so, your work and productivity is okay. That's not wise. That wasn't a wise decision back in the day.
Not sustainable. I remember with my studio, we were making zero money. I mean, I don't even think we were making profit at this time. And we were coming up to the performance and I had nothing. I had no money to spend on costumes. And I ended up spraying garbage bags in my garage at 2 a.m. the night before. So I got all these big giant garbage bags, cut holes in them for the neck. There's a photo I can show you of this. This is real life. And then I got red and white, maybe gold paint and kind of spray painted them. And that's they put them on as it's just a cringe now. But that was what I had to do. There was no money. So I just did it all.
And then after the getting high off the paint fumes, then you had to run the concert the next day, right? Didn't you?
Look, I was at my best.
But again, what would we do differently if we started again?
Because I think we all opened studios with kind of, rosy eyes of the students and the connection and the impact and the my gosh, the community and the memories and the relationships we're going to make. And we just get so connected to what we can do that we don't really have a strong understanding about the output required to do it.
No.
Maybe is the truth, right?
And typically, let's, think of the studio owner. Typically when you open the studio, it's not because you're not opening it with like the best business strategies, right? You're opening it because you got a mission, you got a heart, you got a community you want to serve, and the strategy is not the first place where you go.
Because you don't know it.
Yeah.
Because you haven't, done a master's degree in studio strategy, that you haven't done an MBA in this. So we're just kind of usually inheriting a lot of what we know to be true in the industry. So the kind of timetable strategy and the re-enrollment and the pricing kind of structures, this is kind of how it's done.
Yeah.
And like, regardless that it's maybe not very effective and a lot of studio owners struggle on that model, we haven't quite got the clarity at like, oh, maybe there's a different way. And so we just keep plodding along and we add more programs and kind of, we work harder, we try and do more marketing and we get more overwhelmed and our schedule gets more full. And we know that the most effective way to make more money is for me to teach more. So you just teach more and you do more. Yeah. And then suddenly everything becomes more cluttered and there's so many more balls in the air and we are left like stretched so thin. It's not even funny. It's not funny at all.
You're maxed, and you're then left spinning all the plates and wonder how you got here. But can I just honor for a second as well, Chantelle? Like that's why we love those studio owners. Like this is why we love you, because you get into the game with all mission and heart, and you're so servant-hearted, and you want to create change and you want to create impact, and we love that and we see that in you. But yeah, when you get to the point where you're spinning all the plates, it's just it's not sustainable.
So, I got there in my studio. I had this location running and we had like 55 students, right? And not making money, but working like a dog to not make money, and it gets to the point where I said to myself, either things have got to really change or I'm not able to continue. Like I was there.
Was there a specific point? Like, did you hit a low point? Were you just like exhausted? Were you chasing your tail, or did you just go, nah, today I have to make a proactive decision to change?
I think it was after we'd run another kind of big camp and we hadn't made any money afterwards. And I think I kind of sat down. I remember being in my parents' house and kind of going like, I was maybe 20 at the time, just for context. I remember thinking like, this is not really working, is it? It's not really working. And so I made the decision. I gave myself 6 months. I gave myself 6 months of like, either I can turn it around in 6 months or I need to just let it go. And maybe this is not for me, and just to accept that I loved it. The reason I started my studio was because I was studying at the Conservatorium, voice and music education, and I wanted a summer job, right? I wanted to go teach at a performing arts summer camp, and I couldn't find one in Sydney. I was like, this is outrageous. They were such a big part of my childhood, so I'll just with all the gumption of a 19-year-old, just start one myself. But I had no knowledge of strategy. I had all heart. I loved teaching. I knew how to kind of create experiences and connection with kids, but I had no business strategy. And so everything that I did and implemented, from pricing to marketing to systems to communication, it came from heart 100%. And people loved it, but it wasn't good business. And I think that's the kind of the nuance of shifting from this is what I love to do to this is a sustainable model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is what can create a legacy and create more impact and change more lives.
And so the question really is what does the studio need to be? How does the studio need to be structured in order to make this business incredibly successful? If we approach our decisions from that perspective of what kinds of programs we're going to run, how we're going to do marketing, how we're structuring retention, how we're doing our pricing, right? When we look at the decisions from that real perspective versus what just feels beautiful to do, and there's space for both, right? Yeah. There is space for heart-based and devotion to quality of education, devotion to community, that aligns with solid business practice. And so in my case, I spent 6 months learning, researching and thinking, reading a hell of a lot of books and doing a huge amount of research across the industry. I went and studied job descriptions for the biggest studios in the world, like how they were approaching hiring. I analyzed so many timetables, it's not even funny. I now have an amazing knowledge bank of timetable strategy because of kind of even that more knowledge, and pricing models, like what the increments are and kind of how to structure them by minutes or by kind of packages. And like all of that learning came from the product of my studio. My business is not freaking performing.
Yep.
This is not working, and I'm not here for this. I would be better getting a job at the local cafe, is the truth. I would be so much financially ahead if I was doing that. And I had so much privilege because I was still living at home. So I want to kind of really, I was very lucky to be the age I was where I was studying full time. I didn't have overheads. I didn't have, scary kind of things. I was at that stage of my life. I had that opportunity, right? So I want to really make that clear. But at the end of the day, when you get the model right and you kind of do things from a place of really not just hoping, but really clear, magic just happens. And so this was, again, like I had 55 students in July. I spent the rest of that year really considering strategy and structure and architecture of systems and intention for experience. And I set a big goal. So in this process, I was like, I just don't want one location. This is classic me.
Yeah.
So I decided that there was this business in the UK that I thought was amazing. And I researched their kind of operation kind of philosophy. I thought like, well, here in Australia, like if I'm going to do this, I could see us having like 25, 26 locations. And so I built this model based on that. And so as we grew, when I relaunched, we went from 55 students in July. I kind of relaunched again for the February. We had 114 students by February. So we doubled in that 6 months. And then the year after that, we opened our second location, year after that, third location, fourth, fifth, sixth. And the rate of growth was just beautiful because the model worked, right? And I think so many of us are stuck in spray painting garbage bags in our garage because we haven't got the money, but we haven't quite got the opportunity to kind of reset. And so what we're going to talk about in the podcast today is like, if you could start fresh, if you could hit the reset button on your business, what would you do differently? What would you set up without any of the fear of like, I can't, to change our pricing model would be so stressful, or to kind of look at doing our timetable. I had a conversation with one of our members in the Leap just last week of kind of, she's got 30-minute classes, but the scheduling is an absolute overwhelming, consuming part of her world. Like it takes up her life to work out the scheduling for a studio. We're talking about what if it wasn't that way, and her fear of, but like how people are going to respond, but it's not working, right? So we sit in this tension of like, well, I'll just kind of absorb it. I'll just, kind of tolerate it because I'm scared of if I change things, what's going to happen? It's no way to live. It's no way to live.
And it's heavy. And then you're carrying that while you're still churning up and teaching classes as well. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
So
it's a lot.
Let's go in. And, Chantelle, I know that you did this in your own studio, Born to Perform, but you've also mentored thousands of studios and hundreds of studio owners as well in evolution through this process. So I want to hear, if you had to do it again, where would you start?
Okay, this is such a fun question. So if I could literally play and like walk into a studio and go, okay, we're going to build the ultimate prototype. Like, isn't that fun, Michelle?
This is really fun.
Yeah. So if we're going to design this ultimate prototype, there's 3 things that I would really be focusing on. And the first one is retention. Most studio owners really focus on new enrollments. And you have to, right?
Yep.
Normal. Great. Go for it. However, I feel that chasing new enrollments and like turning on the taps of advertising, working on getting more students through the door, come, putting on the effort in without working on retention is like putting a bucket over a tap, but the bucket's got holes in it. It's like chasing this leaky bucket. You're never going to grow because if you've got students coming out the bottom and you're not holding them, you're never going to fill up. So it's so much more work. It's so much more momentum you've got to create in your marketing. It's exhausting and relentless. So for me, it's about the first thing to think about is if we were to design a model that put retention at the heart, Because for every student we get through the door, if we're able to retain them for 10 years or however long you'd intend to retain them for, gosh, we're going to grow quickly, right? The compounding of retention is undeniable. And the sooner you get processes in place for retention, the better. So I'd be thinking about things like how we're designing our culture, how I'm designing our program flow, how I'm designing our intentional communication, inviting people and educating them about the next step in the process. I'd be thinking about how I'm doing onboarding to, right from the beginning, paint the picture of expectation that this is where you're going to go. Really being much more clear on the journey that they're going to walk on through your studio. I can't talk. Have you noticed I'm just like actually like fumbling every third word?
It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. So it's being much more clear on what you want retention to look like in your business. And I know that some studio owners think that retention's fluffy, but for me, it's money.
It's funny. It's such a new take when people start to work with us too, Chantelle, isn't it? Because we're so ingrained that like more students equals more money. If I've got to make more money, I've got to grow. But like when they come and work, you're like, retention is pivotal, and it's not just.
Do you know why I like retention? I like cash flow. I really like stability.
Yeah.
I really like money in the bank.
Yeah.
I really do. And retention is the best way to do it. And it's money that feels good, because when you're retaining students, it means it's the best report card you're getting on the culture and the quality of education you're giving and the community you're sustaining, right? For me, it's the best indicator that we're doing things well and that our mission is being really realized across the studio. But it's not fluff. It's strategy. Yeah. How you link programs together is strategy. When you do the invitations to the next level is strategy. There's times to do it in the calendar of the year and there's times not to do it. And when you get clear on, oh my gosh, this is the precise window to seed, this is the precise way to get them excited for the next thing, and this is the precise way to invite them over with kind of some impetus, life just becomes really damn easy. You can sleep well at night. So I want a business that is rock solid and stable. And the best way to do that is to have long-term retention strategy built in. And I know I'm evangelical about this, Michelle, but I think it's pretty life-changing.
It is. And, you know, it doesn't have to be something that like you manually do all the time. When you get really good at your retention strategy, you can have this kind of automated as well, some aspects automated, scheduled in, you know, training with your team. And it really can be so transformational and drive mass growth, isn't it, Chantelle? Because when the retention's locked in and you do have a big intake period, it can transform a business.
Here's the thing, like I believe that with retention, you can actually be the architect of it to the degree where you don't need to hold it. The model of the business actually sustains the retention by design. So how a student flows through the natural architecture is kind of like karate, right? Like black belts. Yep. Like you start on white, you know these, and then it goes to yellow. And then what's the next one after that, Michelle?
I'm not quite sure.
A color.
A color.
Your husband is the Pan Pacific Jiu-Jitsu, but there's a different grading system, isn't it?
It's a different grading system. But yeah, but as you go through the colors, they just know because they're working towards the next belt and it's just so clearly laid out to them. They know what they're working towards. And it's the same in a studio. You lay out the path, lay out the journey, and they know where they're going.
Otherwise, we're just hoping they're going to be motivated to some invisible carrot.
Yeah.
People need carrots.
That's right.
It's very interesting. Even like the data, when we brought in the Tiffany's graduation gift.
Yep.
Isn't it fascinating how kind of people were uploading more projects, our retention is improved.
Yep.
There is, you know, if people have this momentum of like they know where they're going to go, they know why they're doing it and what they're going to gain on the other side, engagement increases. Strategy doesn't require anything more of me, but the business is built to improve retention. And that's what we're all about. So that's number one. Designing this whole business model with retention at the heart. What is going to keep people connected, motivated, driven to continue? People need a goal that they're moving towards. They need clarity. They need a container, if you will. If you're not holding them in something with like an idea of progression, they're going to fade away into the distance. You need to give them something they're moving towards. So that's number one. Number two is kind of adjacent to this. It's business model, but from a different slant. And that is many studio owners think that as they go along their journey, they start, someone says like, oh, could you do acro classes? Sure. We can run acro classes. Could you do meditation week retreats on the weekend? Yeah, I can do that. No worries. Could you start a ukulele group? Yes. Yes, I can. And what happens is that we add more programs, and every program you have is like having another child. Yeah. I want you to think about how many children you are currently feeding in your house right now, right? Michelle has 3 children.
Yep.
I have 2. It's enough.
It's a lot. It's enough. It's enough. We've come to our max. We've reached our max.
Shop is shut. Shop is shut. But the thing is, like, every single program you have, which is like beginner ballet and kind of then contemporary or lyrical, every kind of different genre you have, every kind of different structure you are holding requires intentionality and requires marketing so you can kind of get it to capacity. It needs a flow of communication aligned with it. It needs teacher training. So one thing that we are super, super duper passionate about doing with our clients is reducing the program offerings to be much, much, much more refined. Now, when you're able to do this, it's kind of like a funnel, right? As opposed to putting water across lots of different cups, we consolidate the program suite to be less intensive, which means we're only marketing fewer programs, which means we're going to get more intake. It means our timetable is less congested. It means our teachers are more trained. There's more flexibility in covers, right? The program, having less programs is the key. Some of our most successful clients, and I want you to really listen to this, some of our most successful clients, and I'm talking like 1,000+ students, have 1 or 2 programs, maybe 3. Mass niching, getting really clear on like, this is what we do really well. This is what we are really passionate about. This is what is also highly profitable. It goes back to that whole hedgehog concept from good to great, if you know that model. What we are best in the world at, what we're passionate about, and what drives our economic engine. When you come from that place of like, we don't need to run all the programs, how can we consolidate this into more of a kind of smorgasbord of inclusions within this program? So can you structure the business model in a way where things are more integrated and less kind of itsy bitsy a la carte? The more a la carte choice you have, the more confusion and communication required to sell it, which means it's hard to get people through the door. So you're wanting to really think, particularly front facing. When we're talking about marketing the studio, we kind of want some just real front-facing programs that are easy to sell. Just do what they say on the box and really get people in the door. And then internally, really how we can simplify that flow of retention all the way through. In Studio Evolution, we have a project called Roadmap, which is about taking a student from day 1 of the studio right through to when you want them to graduate. Like, I want them to be here for 13 years. I want them to be here for 25 years. Let's actually map how they're going to move through it in the ideal, most streamlined way. And it is revolutionary because it's just like, oh shit, I am doing so much. There's so much complexity over here. It's not serving the business. So the business model is something that needs a lot of attention.
And it's huge. And we've seen this business model transformation take place so many times. But for the listeners playing at home and maybe are hyperventilating at the thought of changing your whole business model, Chantelle, because I know there's a huge personal and emotional piece here, right? Because like I've seen it in a lot of studios where they want to be the one that offers and appeals to everyone. You know, I want to say yes to all the parents. I want to cover the masses. You know, it's that mindset. What's the biggest kind of change you see when we do change the business model? Because we've done this in person and we see this in our programs. Is like the hardest thing to let go of.
It's the hardest thing to let go of because people love the programs and you can deliver them. It's the truth, right? You can.
Yeah.
It's the cost of delivering it that is the unspoken thing.
Yeah.
When you're delivering programs that aren't viable, it's like the studio is carrying really heavy weight.
Yeah.
And we're leaning on the other programs and we're so consumed with trying to keep those programs going that our attention is taken away from more scalable ways of growing the studio. It's really tough. I know this is really hard.
But we have seen that link to burnout as well, studio owner burnout, haven't we? When you're carrying all those programs. And we've actually seen studio owners flourish before our eyes when they've dropped the dead weight as well.
Well, that's right. That's right. I mean, literally, this is so, so important. I think back to, we had a lovely client based in California, Martin and Daniela, and they were just doing so many different things.
Yep.
And we just really dialed in, like, here is where you start. And we worked on the retention for this kind of first introductory program, right? In 1 year of working with them, they added 1,836 more individual private lessons to the timetable in a year. That's huge.
Bonkers. That is bonkers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enormous. And then their retention in 4 months of kind of getting more intentional about how we're kind of moving people through, we're kind of getting them in the door. They went from 28% retention to 66% retention. And again, this is where, like, from that first point I was talking to you about, we can be so focused on marketing. But Martin and Daniela, they ran a Arthur Murray dance studio in Sherman Oaks. Sherman Oaks?
Yep.
They were so focused on getting more people through the door because they had 28% retention, right? So you're having to hustle. But when you shift the retention strategy and you get the business model right, it's very clean, it's very clear, it's very easy to sell.
Yeah.
It's very straightforward. There's less complexity. And you improve the communication strategy around retention. To go from 28% to 66% retention in 4 months is life-changing.
It's
on what's going to happen from there.
Massive cash flow change into your daily life.
And just effort. I think so many of us are holding business models that aren't necessarily serving us because they are how they are, and our fear of change is real, right?
Yeah.
It's real. It's hard to do these big decisions. It's particularly hard to do them on your own, right? Our clients are able to do them because they're held, because we've got, an expert mentor who's, there by their side, kind of like, have you thought of this? Let's make sure we do this. Let's get you really prepared and settled and confident to be able to make these moves and decisions. And we're providing them with, enormous amounts of resources and choices of kind of like different ways to approach this. Like, it's hard to do it when you're just like stabbing in the dark. We don't know what we don't know, right?
So true.
We don't know what we don't know. So number 2 is to really reduce the complexity in your business. It's incredibly hard to do on your own, but it's one of the most important things to see leverage and growth. It's like thinking about Apple. They don't offer enormous customization. They don't offer enormous kind of product lines. It's pretty minimal.
Yep.
Your studio should feel similar to that. Number 3, the third thing I would be really thinking about, and that I thought about when I was designing Born to Perform, my studio, was on team. So if we're going to grow this business of yours really significantly, we need to make sure that we're putting team at the heart of these decisions and how the team can help grow this business. Because what's going to happen is, initially, like with my studio when I started, I was everything.
Yep.
I was the toilet roll changer. I was the marketer. I was the welcome team. I was the finance executive. I was, you name it, right? But that's only going to last us so long. And I was also the main teacher. That's only going to last us so long. That's not a viable long-term solution. So it's thinking about how this business of yours could retain all of the heart, all of the care, all of the excellence, all of the devotion, all of the meaning you bring to every class, all of the culture and connection you create. How can we do this in the same way whilst delivered by the team en masse? So again, I was looking at having 25, 26 locations, right, for my studio. I got to 6, but I had designed out a very progressive model that worked. Like, when a teacher came to work in Born to Perform, they had to work with us for a particular amount of time, 9 months, where they were in the first role. And then after 9 months, they could apply to go to the next kind of tier of experience. And they would kind of get a pay rise. And then they had to do another 9 months of experience in that one. Then they could become like an assistant leader. And then after that, become a leader, and then they could open a new venue. So when I hired people, I had a very clear essential model of, you start here on your first day as a kind of someone on our team, but here's the trajectory you're going to go to be opening new venues for us. Like, I was really clear on how people could move through the company, because I bet there's times when you feel you are the center spoke, the center of the hub of the wheel, right? This is only going to work long term when you're not. So if I was in your situation and going to do things differently, I would be spending a lot of time playing with org charts, thinking about, okay, could I get someone leading curriculum over here? Could I get kind of a concierge role, kind of doing customer care here? Could I get someone doing, getting a bookkeeper? I would be playing, just play. What could be possible? You don't need to pay for it overnight, right? You don't need to pay for it right now, but just thinking about what would this org chart look like that would facilitate the dream that you have? Because the dream is not going to happen without team. Team are going to be the secret to your growth, right, Michelle? We can't do anything without our dream team.
And our team is so important, and having the right people in the right positions is so important. And Chantelle, if we've got studio owners who are still solo, so it's still like, they're on the cusp of like big growth now and they're doing all the things they're going to change, what would be the first hire for the team to start?
First thing is to free yourself up for more leadership work. Mm-hmm. So more kind of time to work on the business. So if you can kind of get in a second teacher to kind of work with you, that would be probably number one. Number two hire would be someone to get into the admin side. So someone managing the inbox would be the first thing that we would be wanting to do. And you can get that from 5 hours a week will change your life and get you unchained from the inbox, right, Michelle?
Yeah, completely. And, sometimes when we talk to studio owners, we equate it with like, how many enrollments do I have to get just to cover that? Sometimes it's one student, sometimes it's two, but it's like, if I get 2 students, that covers the 5 hours a week and it will get me out of working in the business to on the business.
It's really, really important that you have the time to get this business model right, because the more that you are free to grow the studio, the more lives you're going to impact, the more growth you're going to see, the more fulfillment you're going to gain. It's kind of like doing more of the same gets you more of the same. Mm-hmm. Is the unfortunate kind of tricky truth. Sometimes we've got to kind of try a different pathway in order to get different results. And so the letting go process of like, maybe I could align with this bigger vision of the studio and step towards it is the path.
Yeah. And we're not meant to do it alone. That's the great thing about having a team. You're not meant to be doing this alone.
Yeah, that's the hard thing. It's really hard. You can't do it alone. It's nigh impossible. In fact, it's nigh impossible. You need support to enable to make the big decisions, to be able to be illuminated to other choices you have. We're so siloed in our businesses of like, well, this is how I do it. This is how my pricing model works. This is how my timetable is. Maybe there is an optimized way to do this that would get me better results, but I don't know them. Yeah. So I'm just going to keep doing what I do. And unfortunately, when that kind of all compounds, it can make you feel really stuck. So the biggest question I want to ask everyone right now is, if you could start again, what would you do differently? If you weren't scared about what people would think or what their pushback would be or how much work it would be to kind of make these changes in your business, what would you do? What would you do? Super interesting, huh, Michelle?
Yeah. And, send it through to us, put it in the comments below, and we'd love to hear it. We'd love hearing studio owners when they reflect and they go back and reflect what they would have done differently. And it also shows you how far you've come now as well. We've got a lot of studio owners listening in who have been through the leap, who've been through studio evolution, and from thinking back to where they were a long time ago in their journey to where they are now, it's just profound.
Oh my gosh, right. And like when you compound retention with good marketing, life gets really fun.
It's magic.
It's because like the classes are getting filled and they're getting filled and then you get to wait list, and then it's like you just kind of got this momentum of word of mouth enrollments, and that comes when you've got really good retention. Like it's this beautiful cycle. So I want you to have really incredible connection with your marketing and for it to be working, and supplement that with retention, that when you get that new student through the door that you've worked so damn hard to get, they stay for a good decade. And we get that relationship, we get that connection, we get that transformation, and our business gets the stability as a result. So it's those two things combined. When you get the model that attraction is easy and the attraction kind of fuels the retention, you're golden, my friends. You are absolutely golden. So when you step into the leap with us, this is working on, first of all, it's not just marketing. It's really kind of like looking at the identity and like who we're creating a community for, and making it easier for people to step in and really kind of improving how you market. We're going to look at what your front-facing marketing is and get it all cleaned up to be truly aligned with who you are. I think so much studio marketing is this kind of generic kind of blah, blah, like fun-friendly lessons. And there's too much competition for that, friends. Like it's too easy to be stuck. What we do in the leap is we get right to the heart of your identity as a studio, and we bring that into very strategic marketing communications that are bit to be used in advertising, in your website, and in your inquiry process. And we teach you how to do all of that in just 6 weeks. It's game bloody changing. And we'd love for you to join us. So if you want to head to studioevolution.com/leap, you can literally jump on board and start watching the first video today. And we'd love to support you in that process of really making marketing growth easier. But a part of the Leap, we do these kind of monthly coaching calls. And this is where I'll be sharing with you information about retention and how to optimize this in your business and how to kind of link the attraction with solid marketing strategy so you can get the growth and get the ease that you deserve. Michelle, big call.
It was a big one today, Chantelle. Let's do a recap.
Yeah. So if we were to start again, and if you had the chance to really redesign your studio, we'd be thinking about 3 things in particular. Number 1, designing it for retention. Stability, cash flow, consistency, sleep at night. Number 2, we're really working on reducing the complexity in the business because that's what's going to help you scale. More is not more. Less is better. Easier for marketing, easier for scale. So really looking at what we're offering and why and bringing the heart of your intention back to that. And number 3 is team. How we could set this up to be really enabling the team to allow them to grow this vision of the business alongside you so that you are not the kind of dog's body doing everything all the time. How this business is going to grow without you doing all the things. So having a bit of a vision for that is a really important step of having this goal for your business. The other thing is just to think bigger, friends. Yeah. Think bigger. Like we get so stuck in this is what it is. It doesn't have to be that, right? It does not have to be it. So go forward. And the first thing to do is maybe just go and look at your website right now and have a look at is it too complicated? Step into the Leap. We can help you streamline it and get the cash flow going and get your retention performing and get the leap to the next 100 students occurring in your studio. Can't wait, friends. Can't wait.
Thanks, guys, and we'll catch you soon.
Bye. See you, bye.
Loved this episode? Hit follow so you never miss what's next. And if you're ready for more clarity, tools, and support to grow your studio, head to studioevolution.com/start. Your dream studio is possible, and you don't have to build it alone.